Seches Gittin Daf begins with a new sugya in the concept of b'fanei nachta. We said that somebody brings a get from outside Eretz Yisrael to Eretz Yisrael has to say b'fanei nachta. We had a machlokes if that's only because we're afraid that we won't be able to corroborate, to establish and verify the signatures from some place where the witnesses are so far away, or is there an additional reason that we're afraid that it wasn't written l'shma because people in Chutz La'aretz don't know the halacha of you have to right to get lishma. Now the Gemara discusses what's the halacha of Bavel. Now Bavel, the Gemara has a tzad because it's full of Tamid Chachamim. The Gemara has a tzad that it counts like Eretz Yisrael. So the Gemara quotes a machlekes between Rav and Shmuel. What is the halacha of Bavel? Is like Eretz Yisrael or not? Rav says it is like Eretz Yisrael. If you don't have to say if you bring a get from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, and Shmuel says no, it's like Chutz La'aretz, and you do have to say Fanei Nachta. So the Gemara first wants to say that machlekes is based on the machlekes Rav and Rava. Rav, who says that it's like Eretz Yisrael, is because the people there are B'nai Torah, must hold like Rava that the only problem was Lishma, and therefore you don't have a problem with Lishma there, because everybody knows in Bavel that you have to write Lishma. Shmuel holds that you do have to say Fanei Nachtam, is because it's still far away, and you won't be able to find people to corroborate the signatures. Someone says this pshat can't be correct, because we already know that everybody holds of the svara of certifying the shtar, that Rabbah holds like Rav in the end. Everybody agrees that that is a problem. So therefore, if that is a factor, if you can't certify a signature that comes from, if you can't certify the signature on a shtar that comes from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, everybody should agree that you cannot, that you have to say Fanei Nachtam on a get that comes from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, the Gemara says that that is not what the Machlekes is about. The Machlekes is about what do we consider it possible and easy to verify the signatures on a get that comes from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael? What's the reason that it should be? Even though it's far, there's still a lot of travel back and forth because there are yeshivas there, people go back and forth from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael all the time. So one opinion says, well, there's yeshivas, there's travel, you'll find somebody who recognizes the signatures who's here in Eretz Yisrael. The other opinion says, no, the people who are coming are B'nai Torah, they are busy learning all the time, they don't know the signatures, they're not up to date on whose signature is what. They don't spend time with the courts and with the documents, and therefore you cannot rely on that. You have to say Fanei Nachtam. Now the Gemara says we have another sugya here related that Rav Abba said in the name of Rav Huna that we made ourselves in Bavel like Eretz Yisrael concerning Gittin, which means to say similar to Rav that it has a din of Eretz Yisrael. Now this says the Gemara, that was only when Rav came to Bavel. When he came to Bavel and he established yeshivas there, then we know that the travel commenced back and forth because there were yeshivas there in Eretz Yisrael. And the Gemara has a question. Rav Yirmiyah asked, we said in our Mishnah what the borders of Eretz Yisrael are. Rav Yehuda said Rechem and on is considered to be the eastern edge of Chutz La'aretz. Rechem is already Chutz La'aretz and eastward. Ashkelon and south is Chutz La'aretz, and Akon and north is Chutz La'aretz. Now, Bavel is outside the borders, so how can you say that it counts like Eretz Yisrael? Now we know that where is it? It's in the north of Eretz Yisrael. And we're quotes a pasuk to show that Bavel is in the north of Eretz Yisrael. Interestingly, it says when prophesying about the destruction of Yerushalayim, it says it's going to start from the north, which is where Nebuchadnezzar, who was from Bavel, came from the north. Now, even though Reb Meir argues on Rabbi Yehuda, and Reb Meir says that Akko itself in the north counts as Eretz Yisrael, they're only arguing over Akko. But the Bavel, which is much further away, according to all opinions, is outside the border. So how can we say that it is considered to be part of Eretz Yisrael? So when it says Rav Yirmiyah asked Takash, and he answered it himself, he said, yes, those are the borders, but Eretz Yisrael, but Bavel is an exception because it has special halachas, as we've seen. The Gemara now asks, what are the borders of Bavel as far as this halacha? So there are two opinions here. The Gemara first brings Rav Papa, who says there's a known machlokes concerning Yuchsin, concerning ancestry, as to what the borders of Bavel are. Those are important because Eretz Yisrael, Bavel, and the rest of Chutz La'aretz have different statuses as far as how pure their lineage lines are. So as machlokes say what the borders are, the same machlokes applies here, according to Rav Yosef. According to Rav Papa, Rav Yosef disagrees. He says the only machlokes is as far as Yuchsin, but as far as Gittin, the border is clear. It's the second plane, which is near the bridge. The Gemara quotes other Amoraim and that they required people to say b'fanei nechta, even in a much shorter distance. So Rav Chizda, when somebody brought a get from a city called Aktisvain to Bnei Ardashir, he required them to say b'fanei nechta, but from Bnei Ardashir to Aktisvain, he did not require. So Gemara says, why would that be? The distance is the same. So Gemara says, it must be because he held that the issue is Lishma, and the people of Bnei Ardashir were Talmidei Chachamim, and they knew to write Lishma, and therefore there's no problem if they're coming from Bnei Ardashir. Someone says this can't be correct because everybody holds, like Rava, we already said, everybody holds of Rava's opinion that if you're not going to be able to find witnesses to certify the shtar, you need to say Fanei. And these are two different countries, two different Medinas, and you're not going to be able to find witnesses. So why should you not have to bring? Why should you not have to say Fanei if you're bringing a shtar from Bnei Ardashir to Aktisvain? So the Gemara answers because the people of Bnei Ardashir always used to go to the marketplace in Aktisvain, and therefore the people in Aktisvain know the signatures of the people who live in Bnei Ardashir. They would come to the market there and they would sign all kinds of receipts and documents there. So people there knew. Now, even though the people of Bnei Ardashir came to Aktisvain for the market, they did not know the signatures, couldn't recognize the signatures of the people of Aktisvain, because when they came, they were coming shopping. They were there on the market day. And therefore, if you're bringing a get from Aktisvain to Bnei Ardashir, you're not going to be able to certify the signatures of the people who signed it. In Aktisvain, no one in Bnei Ardashir knows those signatures. The other way, though, people in Aktisvain do know the signatures of Bnei Ardashir, so you don't have to say b'fanei nechta. And the Gemara says that Rabba bar Avua required people to say b'fanei nechta, even if they're bringing the get from one side of the street to the other. Rav Sheshes is required from one neighborhood to another. Rashi says a neighborhood is defined as 3 houses. And Rava required even within one neighborhood. So I'm going to ask what I mean. Rava is the one who said that the reason that you have to say is because you won't be able to find witnesses to corroborate the shtar. If in the neighborhood, you could definitely find witnesses to corroborate the shtar. So Gemara says, no, this is mechuzah. People there move around. They don't stay in one place. And therefore, it's hard to get people to corroborate a shtar specifically. Now the Gemara brings an insight. The Gemara says that Rav Chanin, Rav Kahana, and he brought a get, and he doesn't know if it was from Surah to Naharda or from Naharda to Surah. And he came to Rav, and he said, do I have to say b'fanei nechtam or not? So he responded to him, he said, you don't have to, but if you do, it'll work. That means we're not going to obligate you to, but if you will say b'fanei nechtam, and later the husband comes and complains and tries to debunk the get, the fact you said b'fanei nechtam will help. Somewhere says it was a similar thing that happened. There was a brisa that says there's a story of somebody brought a get in front of Rabbi Shmuel, and he asked him, do I have to say b'fanei nechtam or not? And he said to him, my son, where are you from? He said, Rabbi, I'm from Kfar Sisai. So he said, you have to say b'fanei nechtam in order that we don't have to go looking for witnesses. And after he left, Rabbi Eloi came in and he said, Rabbi, I don't understand. Why would you say that somebody from Kfar Sisai has to say b'fanei nechtam? Kfar Sisai is swallowed in the border of Eretz Yisrael. It is very close to the border and surrounded by the border on 3 sides. It's in like an indentation in the border, and it's even closer to Tzipori than Akko because of that irregularity of the border. Now, as far as Akko is, Machlekes Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Huda. Rabbi Meir holds that Akko is the same halacha as Eretz Yisrael, and Rabbi Huda, who we're calling here the Rabbanan, only argue about Akko itself, which is a bit far. But Kfar Sisai is closer. Certainly, there would not be an issue. You would not have to say b'fanei nechtam. So why are you saying that this one has to say b'fanei nechtam from Kfar Sisai? They said to him, my son, be silent. Since it went out, it was already said beheter, be silent. So the Gemara is asking, I don't understand what's going on over here. And Shmuel didn't tell you have to. He said you have to, but he said in order that we should be able to get Edom if we need, which means to say that it's not a requirement, but it would be good if you would. So why is Rabbi Eloi starting up with him and saying, why are you being mechayev him to? He wasn't saying that you chayev to. So Gemara says Rabbi Eloi didn't hear the whole thing. He only heard the beginning where he said you have to. He didn't hear where he said afterwards in order to prevent problems which may come, which implies that it's optional. Gemara now reports that Rav Yasser sent to Rav Chizda halacha, a get which comes from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. You do not have to say b'fanei nechtam or b'fanei nechtam. So Gemara goes to a similar exchange we had earlier. Does that mean because the reason for saying b'fanei nechtam is because of concerns that it wasn't written lishma, and people in Bavel know the halacha has to be lishma? The Gemara says that can be. We already said that everybody holds of Rava's svara that you need to be able to certify the signatures of the get. And therefore, that is the issue over here. The issue is, do you have to certify or not? And he's saying that you don't have to worry about certifying because there's a lot of people who travel back and forth because they're yeshivas in both places. Now, the Gemara says Rav Yosef challenges, and he said, it's very nice that Rav Yosef said that. Who says that Rav Yosef is reliable? And his indication he's not so reliable as the source, because he sent a letter to Rav Yehuda, and he wrote that people who come from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, they fulfill the pasuk Vayinu es hayelad b'zayna v'hayelad machum b'yayin v'yishtu. They devalue children because they don't stay home and have children in Ravatal period v'rivya. But anyway, he quoted a pasuk and he wrote it without sirtut. He wrote the pasuk without having lines. The halacha is, if you have a certain number of words from a pasuk, you have to have lines. How many words? Rav Yitzchak said 2. You don't have to have, but 3 you have to have. And there's a brisa that says that 3 you could get away without lines, but 4 you for sure have to have. But here it's much more than that. So Abaye says, no, this doesn't prove that Rav Yasser is not reliable. This is not a svara. If it would be a svara, this Rav Yitzchak said, okay, a person who's a Talmid Chacham should be able to come up with everything svara. This is a shmud, this is a halacha. Could be, didn't hear that halacha. Not everybody heard every halacha. Second of all, Rav Yosef is a big person. We know that because HaKadosh Baruch Hu said like him. Where do you see that? So the Gemara quotes an interesting exchange that happened as far as the sugya of Pilegesh Begiva, which was an incident that's in Sefer Shoftim, where a person got upset at his Pilegesh, and he ended up causing a situation which created a war, and many tens of thousands of people were killed. So the Gemara quotes the pasuk there. It says, "Vatizna of Pilagshai." Why was he angry at her? This is Machlekes Rav Yasser and Rav Yonasan. Rav Yasser says he found a fly, and Rav Yonasan says he found a hair. So then he says Rav Yasser found Eliyahu Hanavi, and he said, "What sugi is HaKadosh Baruch Hu learning now?" And he said he's learning Pilegesh Begiva. He said, "What is he saying?" He's saying Rav Yasser, my son, says he found hair, and Yonasan, my son, is saying he found the fly. So he said, "What do you mean? There's a lack of clarity in Shemayim. He's not clear as to what the Metzias was." He said, "No, these are both Divrei L'Kim Chaim." And he's saying both of these. As a matter of fact, it both works out. He found the fly, and that was not enough for him to be a makbid. Once he found the hair compiled with the fly, that was already a problem. What's the reason for that? So Rav Yehuda says the fly was in the bowl, and the hair was in Eisei Malkaim, and therefore the fly is a little disgusting, but the hair is a sakana. So I'm saying both of them were in the plate. This Vov, she is nothing you can do. A fly flies into your food, not much you can do to stop it. But a hair, you should be able to keep out of there, and that's why he was upset. Now the Gemara goes into a bit of agada to relating to making sure to have a calm environment. So because it says a person should not put too much fear within his household, as you see from Pilegesh Begiva, that this person put a lot of fear into his household, and because of that, many tens of thousands of people were killed as a result. It says the name of Rav, anybody who puts fear excessively into his household, in the end he's going to be violating the 3 Averes Chamuras, Gilei Rayis, Shvichas Damim, and Chil Shabbos. Rashi explains Gilei Rayis because she'll say she went to the mikvah even if she didn't, because she'll be afraid to say otherwise. Chil Shabbos because if she forgot to do something for Shabbos, she'll do it on Shabbos because of the fear of being found otherwise. And Shvichas Damim, you see that was this whole story here with the war that started because of that. Says Rabbi Barchana, they said the Rabbanan say that you should say 3 things before Shabbos. You should instruct your household as Shabbos begins. You start the Miravta Maligos Haner. Did you take Meiser? Did you make an Eruv? And it's time to light candles. You have to say it calmly and with nachas, in order that it should be accepted from him. Says Rashi, I never heard that. Rabbi Barchana said that, but I fulfilled that halacha anyway because of my own logic.